Welcome back to another episode of Best in Show. My name is Kasabi from Showzone, and we'll be going over the best set 2 cards available in the game. Now, I want to preface this episode by saying these are just set 2 cards, not season 2 where you can use set 1 and 2 together, just purely set 2 cards. Contrary to set 1, there are a lot of changes between the meta and true overall squads in set 2, where we'll be going over both since the rosters are actually quite different. Set 1 had a lot of similarities between the players that you would use for both meta and true overall. And as a refresher, meta overall is the meta of the game. True overall is the metric of what the development team would rate these players if they were to go over 100. We do have a blog post with an update on the meta overall scoring, so you'll see some players that have been scored a bit differently since July 1st. For more information on this, you can visit this blog post right here, and the link to that is in the description. As majority of you have probably come to know as a part of MLB 23, a lot of the best cards that you can receive in this game aren't in ranked or battle royale. There's a good amount of them that are, but primarily the best cards you can get in the game are through chase packs. Now we'll see if this trend continues. I know there's been a bit of uproar from the community about some of the best cards in the game being locked behind packs, which cause you to buy stubs or save up a lot of stubs at the chance of getting some of those. So the whole grind 99 thing is a bit on the edge. I mean, you do have the set collection rewards that are also decently good and make up a good majority of the top 5 or top 10 cards per set. But as you'll see here, the top 2 cards in set 2 were both of the chase reward cards. Joe Mauer was the best card in MLB The Show, 23 so far, and that's for any set or season. He has a 115.97 score on the meta scale, which is meant to be out of 99. We've had a lot of cards break 100 recently just because of how good they are, and Mickey Mantle follows right after that with a meta score of 115.46. Here's the rest of the meta overall squad lineup and bench. As you can see, Mauer and Mantle as a part of that. The next best card from this set will be David Wright, who is one of the collection rewards, followed closely by Hank Aaron. Couple surprises on the list, though. You can see Stan Musial at first base. He's normally an outfielder, but can play anywhere, as well as Willy Adames at third base. This card is going to be slept on, and I'll go over him in just a little bit. So you have Adames at third base, Kaiju David Wright at shortstop, and Alfonso Soriano at second base. Now, Alfonso Soriano is primarily an outfielder, but it seems like every year he's able to be plugged in at second base as one of the best second base options, since there doesn't tend to be historically a lot of power hitting second basemen. Kind of focuses a bit more on power as a desired attribute. Rounding out the outfield, there is Aaron Judge, which is one of the few non-kaiju or incognito cards that you'll find in this lineup. So Judge is definitely one of the best cards you can get just for completing a program after a few hours. A lot of these other cards, you have to complete collections, play events, other online ranked modes. Again, as you look at the bench and the squad itself, pretty much everybody incognito or kaiju cards, Aaron Judge being the lone holdout. On the bench, you also have a few decent options. Kaiju Chase Utley is the best of the bunch, where you could replace him with Soriano easily and maybe get some more out of Soriano in the outfield, but there are a lot of good other outfield options such as Willie Mays, Larry Walker, Bryce Harper, and Matt Holliday. Missing from this list in the first cards out are incognito Big Papi or David Ortiz. He is your next best first base option if you want to plug him in instead of Musial. Just Musial again gets you some more secondary options. Ortiz can really only play DH or first base, followed by a lot of other infielders: Kaiju Jose Altuve, Prince Fielder, Incognito, Egan Kinsler, and Josh Donaldson just missed the cut. You might also be wondering who's the next best catcher besides Joe Mauer. Technically Kyle Schwarber because of his hitting attributes, but he's a bit weaker at catcher. He just missed the cut at a 104.03. Some of the other options you can use as catcher options are Mike Napoli and Cal Raleigh, but again, a lot of the catchers this set don't really have the best defense aside from Joe Mauer. So if you didn't get him from one of the chase packs, you're a bit out of luck on the defensive side. Just a lot of more offensive-minded catchers available. Moving on to the starting rotation, as always, any set or season with Randy Johnson is going to have him at the top of the fold. He is your best starting pitcher at a 107.39. And the rest of the pitchers are a few points beyond him. Nolan Ryan is your second best option, followed by Sandy Alcantara, Greg Maddux, and then it drops off quite considerably. The fifth best option is Yuri Perez, Future Stars card. Kind of a refreshing change to see somebody who's not an incognito or kaiju card, but again, all things considered, the fifth spot in the rotation is significantly lower than some of the other options. Just past Yuri Perez, we have Chris Sale, Justin Verlander, and Kerry Wood. A lot of people either like or hate Chris Sale, so it really depends on your preference there with like the arm angle and everything, how you use him. Justin Verlander, I know a lot of you do tend to like using. And the Kerry Wood card is one of those that's a little bit sought after, but harder to get just because of the 12-0 event rewards for events, or 12 win entry, I should say. So it really just depends on what cards you've been able to save up for in this set and season. Some of these are World Series rewards, for example. Set 2 brought us a ton of great bullpen arms, including a few for free in some other programs. So you have the Milestone Kenley Jansen and Craig Kimbrell card. However, only one of those made the cut for the meta overall squad, and that is Kenley Jansen, the 3rd best rated relief pitcher or closing pitcher in set 2. He's just behind Goose Gossage and Aroldis Chapman, who are some solid options at the top of the bullpen. Following him are Mariano Rivera, Rob Dibble, the monthly awards Felix Bautista, Troy Percival, and Ryan Helsley. If you're wondering where Kimbrell fell off to, he is the 2nd card out just behind Trevor Hoffman. Evan Phillips' monthly card is also a decent option, but if you're looking for the best lefty that's not Aroldis Chapman or Rob Dibble, you have to go back pretty far for Aaron Loup, who doesn't really throw that hard compared to Dibble or Chapman either. So there's your meta overall squad. We'll move on to the true overall squad. And again, a few familiar faces, but a lot of changes from the meta to the true overall squad. So as you can see, Mauer, Musial, Soriano, some familiar faces. You also have Aaron and Mantle in the outfield. But true overall really harps on fielding attributes, a little bit of speed, depending on the position as well, arm strength and accuracy, which is why you see some unfamiliar names such as Lars Nootbaar, Willy Adames again. On the bench, you'll also see Brandon Crawford, Masataka Yoshida, just some interesting names all around, a lot of them from the Kaiju program. But Kyle Schwarber does make the team on this one as the catcher secondary. I thought it was interesting how Mickey Mantle got moved to right field as opposed to center field, because Nootbaar isn't the most fast or fleet-footed center fielder there can be. He does have great speed, but not 90 level speed. So you can mix and match those a little bit. Again, though, this is what the system believes is the best overall balance of a true overall squad. Justin Turner, for whatever reason, is in there at a 101.74. There are a few other options that have a slightly higher score like Jose Altuve, but Turner will get you more flexibility. Moving on to the starting rotation, again, you have Randy Johnson and Sandy Alcantara, but a few of the other names are different. Chris Sale makes the true overall squad, Garrett Cole's incognito card, and Tom Seaver is just 0.01 ahead of Nolan Ryan, a 103.60 for Seaver. Ryan is a 103.59. So I would probably put Nolan Ryan ahead of Tom Seaver quite personally, but this is what the scores say. And Nolan Ryan is technically your 6th best true overall pitcher. A lot of changes in the bullpen as well. Mariano Rivera's incognito card is the top reliever according to the true overall metric, followed by Trevor Hoffman and Dennis Eckersley now in the 3 spot. Emmanuel Clase was one of the names that I thought might be interesting in the meta overall squad, but it is significantly lower just due to the high amount of relievers there are that are meta from set 2. But he makes the true overall squad. You have Rob Dibble, Craig Kimbrell making his way in. And oddly enough, the game just really loves Jonathan Loáisiga with his high walks per 9 attribute, kind of solid per 9s across the board. He is at the 7th spot in the bullpen, just ahead of Kimbrell. So again, quite a few differences. Set 1 was pretty set in stone with a lot of the same great cards from meta to true overall, with just maybe a few fielding differences. This month is a little bit tougher because you have some great fielders in the outfield that have good defensive metrics, but then you have other positions like catcher that really don't if you don't have Joe Mauer. So I would say this season and set has some good catchers, a lot of offensive catchers, but not great in terms of the amount of defense ability that you'll have behind the plate. I know a lot of you are probably raking with Kyle Schwarber and Mike Napoli at this point, but they are going to allow a lot more base stealers from this set. Relief options too, we had a considerable amount of lefties in set 1, and there are a few in set 2, but not enough to kind of balance your bullpen 50-50. It really drops off after Dibble and Chapman. Aaron Loup is the 3rd best option, and then it gets really tough after that. And interestingly, Willy Adames is one of the best cards in the game. 125 power versus righties, 125 clutch rating, 99 fielding at shortstop, but we put him at 3rd base for a few of these, just at the hot corner. It's always great to have some good fielding, arm strength, and accuracy over there. So one of those sleeper dark horse picks that you can pick for your meta or true overall squads. He's in the market right now at the time of this video for about 60,000 stubs. So you'd be able to get him at a bit of a discount. You also have David Wright, maybe Chipper Jones that you're saving with the wild card from set 1. A lot of good shortstop third base options, where Automaze kind of falls out a little bit. Depending on where you put him in your lineup though, with the clutch rating, he can be a monster. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the meta and true overall squads, if there's any cards that we might have missed in our rankings or overlooked. Always happy to hear some feedback about you guys and adjust some of the rankings if necessary. Again, we did have a recent change to meta overall. You can read about that in the link in the description of this video, but we're constantly keeping an eye on it and tuning some things with feedback from you guys about the current meta. But that's all for now. Hope you guys enjoy set 3, all of the All-Star Game festivities and programs that come in set 3. We'll see you next time. This is Kasami from Showzone, signing off for now.